Hello and welcome to True North EV. I am here with Bob McGregor with Winnipeg Hyundai. And
Hey, James.
we want to start off by telling a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Well, what do you want to know? I am currently selling at Winnipeg Hyundai. I'm a Ioniq 5 owner. I've been in the broadcast business for most of my life. I am the stadium announcer for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Nice.
And glad, happy to sit down and talk with you.
And I appreciate your time. Can you just give us a brief overview of Hyundai's commitment to electric vehicles and sustainability?
Sure. Well, first of all, I guess as an international car maker, Hyundai has made a full commitment to the environment and to carbon neutral sustainability. Um, Everything about Hyundai is made with that in mind. So many of the fabrics and the components that are used in present day Hyundais include recycled materials, plant-based materials, that sort of thing. And Hyundai is planning to shift away from ICE vehicles, so the internal combustion engine vehicles, towards electric mobility using batteries and fuel cells. And over the next 15 years, Hyundai plans to reach 80% of their sales as EVs only globally.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess for anyone that doesn't know, Hyundai kind of has their hand in everything. There is semis, there's shipping containers, there's clothing, there's
Absolutely.
cars, there's
Yeah.
so much more than we actually know.
So-
Actually, truth be known, I used to work for Hyundai,
Nice.
and seen a little booklet that showed everything that they were doing, and it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, their number one claim to fame is steel. They were in that longer than they've been doing anything else, and they supply like everything from cruise ships to those shipping containers, and just about anything that's made of steel. Likely Hyundai's had a hand in it in some way, shape, or form.
And I guess going with that, what electric vehicles does Hyundai currently offer in Canada, and what are their standout features?
Well, Hyundai's first electric vehicle was the Ioniq, which looks quite a bit different from today's Ioniqs. It was more, I don't know, a compact hatchback, kind of like a Prius. That first generation Ioniq came as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or a full EV, and that was almost 10 years ago. So 2016 was the first Ioniq that came to market.
Wow, that long
And
already.
yeah, it's hard to believe. They started producing a second choice in 2019. That was the Kona, came as both a gas or all electric vehicle. And it met with a lot of enthusiasm from our customers. And we actually sold quite a few units that way. In 2021, Hyundai unveiled the Ioniq 5. So they wanted to create a standalone brand. So Ioniq is going to be sort of like Genesis was to Hyundai. Started out as part of Genesis, or sorry, part of Hyundai, and then Genesis now is split off into its own brand. The Ioniq 5 came out with sort of a radical new full electric vehicle brand. Going forward, they wanted to have a number of models. Odd numbers would be SUVs, even numbers would be sedans. And all of those EVs came as rear-wheel drive with the option to go all-wheel drive. Hyundai Canada has the Ioniq 5, which was voted 2022 World Car of the Year and EV of the Year, and the Ioniq 6, which was voted the 2023 World Car of the Year and World EV of the Year. So kind of back-to-back wins for Hyundai there. And then the Kona
Rightfully
EV
so.
too. Yeah. And the Kona EV is now a second generation. Kona's gotten a little bit larger and a little bit longer and a little bit wider wheelbase. So it too is riding more like car rather than
Nice.
a crossover. Yeah.
And I know that was our big issue with the Kona, was it was kind of almost too small for our family.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gotten bigger. It's about the size now of the 2014 Tucson on the inside.
Nice.
So it's we've got nothing but positives back from everybody who's sat down and driven it. Now, for some people, it's still a little on the small side. They'd rather do Tucson or Santa Fe, but but certainly Kona has grown up a little bit here
Yeah.
and has been well received. In addition to that, Hyundai also makes Kia's EV6 and EV9. They make the Ioniq 5N, which is a smoking fast sports car that, we're talking 0 to 100 in like 3 seconds. It'll do the quarter mile in just over 11. It's a fast but weird all-wheel drive SUV, so that's kind of crazy. And then, as I mentioned, they do make Genesis, so they make the all-electric GV60 as well.
I do like the Ioniq 5N. Them kind of going back to that Genesis route, the Accent, what was it? Accent SR, kind of the sporty line.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
this one is ridiculous. It is 641 horsepower. Like that's just nuts.
more than enough to get you in a lot of trouble.
Yes, well, definitely back and forth to work. But yes, how many speeding tickets do you want along the way?
And if anybody is listening in the Winnipeg kind of surrounding area, I would love to see the Ioniq 5N. We are now allowed electric vehicles out in the West St. Paul's sports racing. So I would love to see someone with it take it on the track where it really will shine.
Yeah, I will say this. If there's any opportunity for me to take it out there one night, maybe I'll do that. Yeah. The Ioniq EVs, they're built with a common sort of battery platform known as EGMP, or Electric Global Modular Platform. And that it does a bunch of things. High profile or high tensile strength steel, more interior space. The wheelbase itself can be scaled, so you can make it smaller or larger depending on the vehicle you're making. 400 volt DC fast charging and 800 volt DC high speed charging, which can charge your batteries from 20 to 80% in about 18 minutes.
More than enough time for a quick little break.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, do you know any future models that Hyundai has coming out that is particularly exciting? And if you're able to share anything about that?
Well, the long-awaited Ioniq 9, which you may or may not have seen sort of sneak pics of and prototypes and that
Gorgeous
sort of thing.
vehicle.
Yeah. It is expected to land in Canada very soon, like within the next month or 3. The 9 is a full-sized SUV, the room of an Escalade and the economy of an all-electric vehicle. Bigger battery, bigger than the Ioniq 5 or the 6. The 9's 110 kilowatt battery has a range of about 620 kilometers.
Wow.
That would be on a rear wheel long range. And then the Ioniq 9 is an all-wheel drive SUV as well. So it performs like a car, which is weird, but it's capable of going from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in as quick as 5.2 seconds.
Which is more than fast enough for essentially a family vehicle.
It's way faster than my Santa Fe was, yeah.
And so if anybody's listened long enough, I'm not a big fan of the current Ioniq 6.
Okay.
With the dual spoilers, it just looks weird to me. Everybody likes the matte paint. To me, it looks unfinished. I did see new pictures of the Ioniq 6 that is coming in Korea first, I believe, very shortly in Korea.
Yeah.
But I've
seen pictures like from the car shows in Korea.
Yeah.
So they've finalized the build of it, and yes, it's going to have a different look to the front. Gets rid of the bulbous headlights.
Yeah.
And then the back end is a lot cleaner, and as you said, doesn't have that dual wing span on it. So yeah, it makes a big difference. Which
to me, that car now, I go from really hating it to that car looks amazing.
Yeah.
And for anybody looking for cars, there's not a whole lot of choices out there. And I think this is going to be an amazing buy once it comes out?
Yeah, we've had way more sales of the Ionic 5, and not just because it's a year older. I mean, at one point, the Ionic 5 wait list was about 3 years during COVID and just after.
Yeah.
But now we're caught up on that. But I would say that the 5 is selling maybe 2.5, 3 to 1 to the Ionic 6. So it'll be interesting to see this how this latest cosmetic change for the 6 will impact the sales. I think it'll be positive.
And I think that's kind of almost going more towards our kind of buying trends, right? More people feel like they need an SUV, even
True.
as a second vehicle. Everybody thinks they need an SUV. Where I know my family, we have one SUV and one car. And
Yeah.
honestly, if I could get an Accent as fully electric, that would be ideal. Just a tiny little car.
Sure. Yeah.
But so I think this is going to do awesome.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and do you see the electric vehicle marketing, especially you've been around for a while now, the involving Canada over the next few years? How do you see it coming along? Like, I know we've kind of gone from nothing to actually really good sales in the last few years, but how do you see it going actually at the dealership?
So in 2021, when I got here, there was the Ionic first generation, and there was the Kona EV, and the sales were there. They weren't super noticeable. Like, we might sell one of them every month, maybe two in a month, in a good month. But it was enough to keep the lights on, so it was fine. Back then, I think it was just over 1% penetration of EVs in the Manitoba market, most of that in Winnipeg. And now we're closing in on 10%. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but certainly the uptake here in the building is monumental compared to what was happening just 4 years ago.
And I think that, especially with the price and the looks, everything about the Ionic, I feel like that's kind of what changed it, especially like affordable,
Yeah,
quiet,
I agree.
good
Yeah.
size.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the key advantages of any electric vehicle is the much lower energy operating costs than conventional vehicles. There's fewer moving parts, so it means lower maintenance costs. Electricity in Manitoba is plentiful, and in other provinces too that generate electricity through hydro plants. So I can see Manitobans coming around to electric vehicles simply by the number of people that have come through our doors at Winnipeg Hyundai and asked to test drive our EVs. A lot of them are doing it because they've heard from friends or family or coworkers that the vehicles that they have really made a difference in their lifestyle and in their pocketbook. And I think people are a lot more open than they were just 4 years ago, for sure.
And for anybody who's listening, you will know right away if anybody within your group purchases an Ionic 5. They are the people that will tell you all about it.
Yep.
That's how I seem to meet people is, hey, you're into electric vehicles. I got an Ionic 5.
Yeah,
And they will tell me
absolutely.
all about it. So it's great to see so much enthusiasm behind even a particular vehicle, right? It's you don't hear very many negatives about it.
No, no. I mean, there's reasons for that, but I think even at a very fundamental level, and I'm an old guy now, so if you go back to the 70s and the 80s, there were a lot of cars that were coming out that were kind of unique. There was everything from the Austin Mini to some of the MGs that were out there, and the people who adopted those particular vehicles knew everything there was about that vehicle.
Yeah.
But as time went on, more and more people started to buy those vehicles just because they looked nice, but they didn't really do a whole lot of research on them. They just thought they were a great, smart looking car, fun to drive. Let's go get one. And probably is where things are going to go with electric vehicles. But for right now, the people that are adopting them tend to be the kinds of people that are going to spend a few hours digging down to know which vehicle is right for them and what it has to offer, right?
I guess that kind of leads into the next one. What are what are the main misconceptions you're hearing from people that are starting to look at electric vehicles?
Well, I mean, there are quite a few of them. I guess the biggest misconception that people have is, range anxiety. That's probably the biggest issue. People who are used to passing gas stations every few blocks, they're nervous to cut that habit. And it kind of is a habit. Practically, there was never a way to put a gas station in your garage, but an electric charger immediately cuts the umbilical cord, makes you reliant on gas pumps. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Everyone's at their own stage, though, in the electric adoption. Some are ready for baby steps, going maybe from a gas vehicle to a hybrid of some description. Others have talked to their friends and they've learned that those people are saving big money with a plug-in hybrid, so they're ready to go from gas to plug-in. And then there are people like me who made the switch from an all-gas SUV to a Hyundai Ioniq 5 to cut their reliance on fossil fuel. And I got to admit, I enjoy the fun of driving the most responsive vehicle I've ever owned.
And the Ioniq 5s, I know if anybody's listened for a while, I did a review on it, and just the silence on the inside is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I guess kind of moving over to your own personal vehicle, with the Ioniq 5,
Yep.
what are the key features to that make it a competitive choice in the EV market? And I believe you got kind of last year's, right? So you don't
I
have
did.
the latest?
No,
What?
I didn't. I didn't get the Ioniq 5 2025 edition. But part of that was the opportunity after the pause by the feds um, created some
Yeah.
really good incentives in it. I'm Scottish. It made sense, and so I ended up with the 24, knowing full well I wasn't going to have a rear wiper. But that
And that's kind
didn't
of the
bother me
biggest
that much.
thing, right? Is the
Exactly.
rear wiper is.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, whether it's a 24, which I think we only have one left here now, or the 2025s, the thing that really convinced me, and I think it does for most of the people that do come through our door, is that if you look at third party reviews, forget about what Hyundai's saying or what Tesla's
Yeah.
saying or what Ford is saying. It doesn't matter, right? The third party reviews consistently put the Ioniq and Tesla up at the top for technology, for range, for safety, while the rest of the global market is still in some stage of catching up. Some are a little lower, some a little closer, but that's really where things
Definitely.
are. I think what's really big about Ioniq is the 800-volt architecture. It allows for the faster charging, and it's built for the future. While at this point, there's only one other manufacturer that's done that, and that's Porsche, and you're going to pay twice as much for the vehicle. So it doesn't really make sense, right? Ionics also come with a heat pump. To me, that's an absolute must for winter driving conditions in Canada's climate. Keeping the car comfortable without depleting the range is critical for anyone who drives more than, say, 50 kilometers a day. An extensive array of highway driving assist features, up to 488 kilometers of range on a long-range wheel-wheel drive. The laminated windows you were just talking about, they keep the cabin super quiet, and exceptional charging speeds. I mean, all things that make the Ioniq 5 safe, efficient, affordable. Yeah, like I said, a no-brainer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the Ioniq 5 can now charge at Tesla chargers now, correct?
At most of them, yes.
Yeah.
It's still something that Tesla's working on. They haven't quite got it so that they're all ready, but
Yeah.
Hyundai's already got the adapters in production, and they'll be handed out in the third quarter of this year.
So you get awesome charging, you get access to, I'm going to say it, one of the most reliable charging networks out there. and it's affordable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for
Some
those
may
that
find it a little bit slower going to the Tesla stations, but I don't. I think it's because of that 800-volt architecture. It's just
I go
it's
with
not a big thing, though, right?
if it's a little slower, take a little nap. I had a
Yep.
2019 Hyundai Kona.
Yeah.
It's and charging at those 50 kilowatt
Hmm.
chargers, and it's an hour or so.
Yeah.
Just have a nap. You're on a
Yeah.
road trip. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's how I was able to actually drive those 16, 20-hour days and get to my in-laws and still chat with them
Yeah.
instead of just being done and
Yeah.
just, I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's the slower charge. Everybody looks at it as a negative. Enjoy it. Just
Yeah.
relax, take a break. You'll be better off when you get to your destination.
Yeah, and like occasionally I'll have somebody who comes into the dealership and they're like, "Hey, what's the charging speed?" And I tell them that you can go from 20 to 80, and you know, as little as 18 or 20 minutes. And to them, it's like, yeah, but I just go into a gas station, I fill up, I'm out in 5 minutes. And for them, it's about getting from, say Winnipeg to Calgary in one drive. So they're just gone. Like they don't the idea of stopping to relieve yourself is a 1 minute stop. They don't want to stop any longer than that. So maybe they're not ready for an electric vehicle, but they're actually few and far between. Most people do admit, yeah, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stretch my legs. I might even go for a little walk. I'm going to have a bite to eat. Yes, I'm going to use the bathroom. How long does that take? 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. That makes sense.
And what I've also found is I've gone to Petro-Canada charging stations when they were around here in Manitoba,
Yep.
and when the gas station was closed, but the chargers were still turned on and ready to go.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it makes a big difference, right? Um, yeah, I guess to each his own. There are people who are not ready for electric vehicles because they do a lot of highway driving. They do get off the main roads. They are heading up north. Um, right now, the infrastructure doesn't support every single scenario, but just like back in the introduction of the gas vehicles, there wasn't a lot of infrastructure back then either, and it took some time before anybody anywhere in Canada could be driving a gas vehicle. So
Well, even for those though that might be doing that, there's now options with plug-in hybrids
exactly.
where if you like, we got members of Manitoba EV that are up in Thompson, where they can, if most of their driving is around Thompson, okay, drive around it on electricity. But now when you're doing your Winnipeg trip, you at least have that gas as a
Yeah.
backup, right?
Yeah.
And I know Hyundai does have Santa Fe, Tucson that are plug-in hybrids.
So yeah, so we did have the plug-in hybrid in Santa Fe up till 2023. In 24, new generation of Santa Fe, much larger, and has hybrid but does not have plug-in at the moment. Although I see that coming, we just don't have an official time for that. Tucson plug-in hybrid is actually one of our most popular vehicles on the lot. We can't really keep them on our lot for any length of time. They're usually spoken for
Which is a
before they
great
even
problem
arrive.
to have.
Yeah, I know, right? Except when you're trying to sell somebody who
Sure.
wants the car right away, then it's a little bit of a problem.
And on those Tucsons, what's the all-electric range on them?
So you're looking at 47 kilometers of unplugged range. If
Which
you
isn't bad if you're just driving around the city.
It isn't. It isn't. And the reality, I use the term unplugged range. I don't know if anybody else uses it. I say that to customers, and usually they go, "What do you mean unplugged?" Um, you have to remember that an electric vehicle or even a hybrid regenerates some of the energy for the battery just when you're coasting, slowing down, putting on the brakes, and that can extend your range. And the best example that I've used, and I'm not sure, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but in 2021, Hyundai took a Kona EV in Madrid, Spain, charged it to 100%, and then they got 5 drivers to take turns driving it until its battery was exhausted and it slowed to the curb. Um, the range when they unplugged it was 415 kilometers, which is the standard range for a Kona EV. They then took turns driving this thing through the streets of Madrid until it came to a stop. And it finally did stop after over 780 kilometers.
Yep.
So almost doubled the unplugged range just by driving in city traffic. So kind of the opposite of gas vehicles. You get better mileage or better range when you're on the highway in gas, but it's the opposite. Most of your driving is city driving, and that's where you get the real payoff.
And that's how most electric vehicles work, unless you're a 2016 Tesla Model X, and then you're reverse for whatever weird reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you're driving one of those new electric semis, but I think they're still in prototype versions right now.
Actually, I am watching a gentleman in Germany. It's a YouTube channel called Electric Trucker.
Oh yeah.
He actually drives what is it called? A Navico, which is actually the Nikola Semi, but
Yeah.
rebranded in Germany. And
Huh.
he loves it.
Well,
He actually switched from doing electric vehicle chargers, to driving a semi truck. So yeah, if
wow, that's
anybody's
crazy.
into driving semis and electric, go check out Electric Trucker.
Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, you said you've had your Ionic for a few months now?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it back in January.
So how does the Ionic 5 perform in terms of range and driving dynamics, especially in that winter?
Well, I guess the first thing that I would probably touch on is just the charging of it, right? For me, I overnight charge on a level 1. And sometime in January we had temperatures in the minus 30, minus 35 range. Um, I don't go on the highways in the wintertime. I'm other than the perimeter highway, I'm mostly city driving. No interest in doing any road trips during the cold months.
Yeah.
So I'm back and forth to work, and my round trip is about 35, 36 kilometers. In the dead of winter, I was getting I was using maybe 10% of the battery. And then in my level 1 charging, which was not in the garage, but actually on the pad, on the driveway, I would get that 10% back by the next morning. So that was fine for me. Other people, it may vary. I guess
Yeah.
I drive with the iPedal mode, so um, I'm very conscious about keeping that regeneration going while I'm driving as well. But yeah, makes a big difference.
I know I also have a 2014 Nissan Leaf that's basically all it gets plugged into is a 120.
Yeah.
And there was a few days where it was like that minus 30 that normally I can go from even completely empty to full in 8 hours.
Oh well.
It has a very tiny battery pack,
Yeah.
24 kilowatts.
Yeah.
But there was a few days there that it wouldn't actually charge up fully because it was just too cold. Now, does Ionic, did you notice that at all, or you were always?
So yeah, I was always charging to 80.
Yeah.
And there was maybe I have the benefit of, working here at a car dealership that happens to have two charging ports that we use to prep our vehicles for either test drives or for delivery, whatever that is. So if that's not being used, then I can always get an extra
Oh,
charge up on that. But it's not like I'm relying on that.
yeah.
That's the positive of it, right? But besides the charging of it, I came out of a 2015 Santa Fe, which I loved. A great vehicle. It had the 2-liter turbo engine in it. Um, we used it a lot to go back and forth to the cottage and various road trips and that sort of thing. I thought it was great, but there's one thing about this new vehicle that I can't stop talking about. It's the instant torque. And I'm not a speed demon. I can't even remember the last time I had a speeding ticket, but I've driven some very peppy cars in the past. My first car ever was a 67 Mustang. I had a 73 Camaro, drove a buddy's 68 Olds 442. I had a modern day Camaro, a Charger, a Corvette, and a Porsche 944 that I had access to drive. I loved those cars too. But really, this Ionic 5 is a whole lot of fun to drive, and I would argue it's way more performance bent than those ones. And that's not even the end. That's just a regular Ionic 5.
Which anybody looking to r- essentially restore but make way better any of those older vehicles, that's all you need to do is slap those bodies on an Ionic 5 or any of these newer EVs. That instant torque alone, you don't get that in those vehicles. It's a
No.
slow build up.
Yeah. And then, of course, add to that, no stopping at gas stations, no anxiety coming from overnight price hikes at the pumps, no need for oil changes or belts and turbo inspections. Uh, yeah, my Scottish heart loves the savings. What can I say?
And it takes what, 30 seconds to plug in when you get home
Not
versus
even.
even the hanging out at a gas station for 5 minutes
Yeah.
while your tank fills.
Yeah.
So on those cold days, EVs still are better just for plugging in.
Oh, absolutely. And then the other thing, and you mentioned this, it's the quietest vehicle I've ever driven. That and its center of gravity incredibly low with 1,000 pounds of battery sitting right down under the floor between the tires. I mean, it's fun. It's way cheaper than my gas-powered SUV was, and yeah, it's a treat to drive. It's like going to the spa.
And I guess kind of continuing with that is what technology is in the Ionic 5 that you think is the most appealing to potential buyers that you're hearing about?
I I would have to say, and this is just based on the folks that come to Winnipeg Hyundai and are asking about these vehicles and taking them out for test drives and the feedback that I'm getting. I mean, the top five would be the fast charging, the fact that there's a heat pump in it. It has all-wheel drive capability as an option, safety and highway assist features, and the fifth would be exceptional interior space.
Yeah, all those points are fantastic. I'd also put on there it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay,
Sure.
uh, which I know what Tesla doesn't do, and actually a lot of GM was taking out of their vehicles for a while.
Yeah, GM wants to get rid of it, which is
Yeah,
like, what? And
where
it's the actual GPS that's going to go away, not the phone projection. That's crazy.
yeah. Well, and
Well,
that was kind of the biggest thing with our Kona was having that up to date map, right? Not relying on
yep.
never manufacturer to update the map. I'll give Tesla that most of my updates on my 2016 Model X is navigation updates,
Oh, really? Well,
but I can't I can't do any YouTube. I can't do any of the projecting type deal. So
weird.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
See, and I didn't even think of that because every single car that Hyundai makes has phone projection.
yeah.
So Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are just a thing. Like I don't even. It's like Does it have a wiper blade? Yeah, it has a wiper blade.
Yeah. And that's
So,
the thing, right? And it's actually, I've only heard it complain to me from a few people, but I think that's more to do with people noticing they don't have it.
yes.
And then it's like, oh, I just assumed it had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and the other thing too now, with the 2025s and beyond, you're going to have over-the-air updates on everything too. So just like Tesla.
and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I guess kind of going with that, is there any talk of being like Tesla with a mobile service from within Hyundai,
Um,
or would that be more dealer to dealer individual?
in what respect?
Like I know Tesla has this weird deal where they basically look at your vehicle when you have a problem, when you report a
Mhm.
problem, they look at your vehicle, they see what the issue is. If it's something minor, they'll come to your they've repaired stuff at my wife's work,
Right.
and then you basically don't even know they're there,
Yeah.
and they'll just fix it. You pay online and it's done. Whether it's changing tires or whatnot, it's uh, anything like that.
So all Hyundai vehicles, whether they're electric or not, actually have a 5-year comprehensive roadside assistance program. So there's no limit on the number of kilometers. If you put 200,000 on your Ionic, it doesn't matter. You've got this for the first 5 years anyway. And that covers everything from being stuck, the vehicle won't work, it's out of charge, whatever that might be. But it also even includes that if you're more than 150 kilometers away from home, and you find yourself in the middle of nowhere and you're going to have to wait till the next morning for a dealership to take a look at your vehicle, then they also cover your a limited amount of your food and lodging while you're waiting for that. So it's not just a tow, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Being on your driveway, not so much. And now that Tesla has a dealership and a service extension here in the city, I'm not sure if they'll continue to do the call outs to folks' work or home. But
I will say they do, just
okay,
because, yeah, we got our vehicle after they were already here.
okay, good.
And yeah, I don't know though. I see it being an inconvenience to some dealers, and the
Yep.
kind of nice though in other ways, because it's quick jobs type deal that you can then save that space for bigger jobs,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah. Yeah. The problem, and again, I'm taking off my sales hat. I'm not talking to you as a Hyundai guy anymore. I'm just, Joe Average with a car. The problem with that level of service, that's something actually that began eons ago with Rolls-Royce.
yes,
And it's filtered its way down, after Rolls-Royce. I think Maserati was doing it for a while. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. I don't think they are. Um,
problems I hear about them, I don't think they could afford to.
well, I didn't say Range Rover. Um, but here's the thing. In order to provide that level of service, there's extra costs
Yeah.
involved. And ultimately, those costs get passed on to the consumer, which makes the vehicles more expensive. And the more you provide those extra little things, the more you've got to jack up the price of the car. Now, Rolls Royce is like, if you can afford a Rolls Royce, I'm sure you can afford anything else that comes with that. But when you've got a Hyundai vehicle, we're trying to keep these vehicles down below the threshold for rebates, and trying to keep them affordable to middle class Canadians. So it's hard to do that and at the same time provide a level of service that isn't offered by most car makers.
And I guess that's the thing with Hyundai, is it's always been known as affordable vehicles,
Yeah,
good quality, affordable vehicles.
I agree. So when my first experience with a Hyundai was a friend of mine in the mid 80s had a Pony. And Pony was the first vehicle to come overseas from Korea. And it was Korea's first attempt at exporting cars. So they picked Canada as the sort of the test market, and they dropped the Pony in here. Great little car, super cheap. But the problem was it was not built for our climate.
Yeah.
And but Hyundai learned from that, and for the next probably 20 years, their focus was more on value, right?
Yeah.
Let's get a vehicle that's reliable, it's cheap to build, it's cheap to purchase, and it gets you from point A to point B reliably and dependably. So that was kind of the purpose of Hyundai up until I would say the mid 2000s. And then they started trying to build some quality into their vehicles in addition to that affordable price tag. And then quality, and then design, and then lately performance. We talked about the N vehicles.
Yeah.
So the N was something that came out as part of the Veloster. These cars were built and tested for the track at Nürburgring in Germany. And that's a Grand Prix track with like hundreds of turns in it. And the purpose of an N is to build a performance sports car, but again at a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah.
So Veloster N, and then we had a Kona N. We had we still have the Elantra N. And now we have the Ioniq 5N, and the Ioniq 6N is coming out next year.
That's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
it's great to see the many choices that
Mhm.
you get, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Leaps and bounds. Like I look at my 2015 Santa Fe, which in 2015 was a pretty technology advanced vehicle. But to look at that and then to look at what I'm driving in 2025, it's like I just jumped ahead, like a century.
oh yeah,
It's crazy.
I drove a brand new 2007 Hyundai Accent 2-door Tango Red.
Yep.
It was fully loaded with heated seats. I never realized that a 2007 can have heated seats. Very affordable car.
Yeah.
And now I look at that and it's like, that's kind of now just the base, but it was an affordable car that anybody can almost buy.
Yeah. I agree.
Is there any advice you would give to people considering for their first electric vehicle? What advice would you give to somebody just looking to switch, or maybe even a first vehicle?
I would say this, it's a bit of a step away from gas vehicles, and it does take a little bit of confidence building before you make that informed buying decision, right? So do your research, see what independent reviewers have to say about the various makes and models, and then kind of narrow it down to your top two or three choices. And then do what I call the Goldilocks comparison. How does the vehicle feel? How's the seat? How's the view
Yep.
around you? How intuitive is the technology? What are the screens like? Or are you a buttons person, or are you a screen touch person? Like what is it that suits you and your personal lifestyle? Compare prices, the rebates, impacts of tariffs if there are any. Fortunately, we don't have that problem with a Korean vehicle, but maybe some others do. You're likely going to own or lease your first EV for 5 years or less. So, and that's a real possibility, because near future technology may make the next iteration more appealing, right? The next shiny thing, and that could be
Yeah.
in the next 3 to 5 years. So, I think just be prepared to prepare yourself, and if you do that, you'll feel good about the decision you're making for sure.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's and I guess that's the biggest thing is, even I would say, get into an EV that you could afford, because buying a used electric vehicle in the future is going to be a lot, I'd say, safer than buying a gas vehicle, just for the fact of a gas vehicle, you got to wonder, a used one, whether it's had all its maintenance, all the oil changes, all that, right? Where an
Yep.
electric vehicle, you don't have all those concerns, right? So if you're buying already, the Ionic 9's coming out, but you can't get one now, but in 4 years, family's grown. Hey, an Ionic 9, but I'm looking at that one that's now 3, 4 years old. It's a lot safer of a purchase.
100%. And that's the other thing that right now is kind of missing from the EV marketplace, is that with gas vehicles, that you can start out with, and you mentioned it yourself when you're talking about the accent, your first car, or the car that's just going to get you
Yeah.
from home to school, or home to university and back. And you're single and it doesn't matter, and I just want a car that's reliable, and I'm not going on any long trips, and I don't care about it not being very stable on the highways in the winter, because I'm never going out in the winter time. So you have vehicles that are sort of entry level. You have vehicles that are for, well, now we're a couple and we got a vehicle. Maybe we have our first kid in that, with that vehicle, and now we've got to, expand. And so what's the next vehicle up that gives me more room, and I can put two
Yeah.
car seats in the back and still have the luggage and go on those family trips. And then maybe I need something really large because one of my kids now is in hockey, and I've got, 3 kids now, and those 3 kids have friends who also want to go along on various adventures. And so now I need 3 rows. And, so with gas vehicles, there's kind of a vehicle out there for everyone's needs and everyone's tastes. It's not quite there yet with electric vehicles, but it's slowly coming about. And I think that's the reason that Hyundai decided after the 6 to go straight to the 9 instead of bringing out the Ionic 7 first. The 7 was going to be about the size roughly of like a Santa Fe. And instead they went to the 9, which is, Escalade sized.
Is what is it? The Telluride?
Yep.
It would be essentially the same size as that.
No, it's actually a little bit bigger. So
Oh
the
wow!
Telluride is our Kia
Or not
sister
Telluride.
SUV.
What is the Hyundai version is
Palisade.
Palisade.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's okay. Listen, we make Kia, so of course
Yeah.
it's still Hyundai, right? It's the same basic chassis. The powertrain's the same, but the outside look of it, with Kia, it's a little bit more of a sporty look. With
Yeah.
Hyundai, it's more of a staid kind of executive type feel, right? Or
That,
more
that's kind of
conservative, I guess.
that was kind of my look at it. Kia is that young kids deal, right? But
It
now,
can be, yeah, yeah.
you're older, you're a little more refined. It's
I
classier.
usually I usually say it this way, and it sure shows I'm dating myself. But I say, um, Kia is to Pontiac. What the hell's Pontiac? As Hyundai is to Buick,
Yep. Yep.
right? And that's basically it.
Yep.
So I say that to people under 30. They're like, "What the hell is this old guy talking about?" But for
And for
everybody
all
else,
my
they're like, "Oh
older
yeah, that makes
listeners,
sense."
you'll totally understand that too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Yes, it's definitely that.
Yeah.
Um, what was kind of the thing though that attracted you to selling electric vehicles or selling even Hyundais?
So as I said, most of my career has been in broadcasting. I finished up a contract position at City TV here in Winnipeg just before COVID hit, and initially I thought about taking it easy. This was before COVID actually spread to Canada. I thought it was gonna, maybe, I don't know if I was thinking of early retirement, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna put my feet up and relax. But when COVID hit, there was like nothing to do. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't even go through Walmart. You could get into Walmart, but you could only look at the groceries. The rest of it was closed off. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do nothing. I can't handle it. So I went to Winnipeg Hyundai, and I've been selling there since July of 2021.
Nice.
Hyundai's EVs are, I mean, they're a different breed, right? All the thoughtful design, the innovation that you've seen in Hyundai's SUVs and the higher end sedans, plus the best battery technology at an affordable price point. It's sort of the best of both worlds. So I like that a lot. I know that my family is entrenched with Hyundai. That sort of started off kind of by accident. I dare say that I hope none of the Winnipeg Hyundai people are listening right now, but I used to be a Toyota guy for many years. And in 2006, I was on my way to buy my third Camry. My wife and I were looking, and we happened to catch wind of the fact that the new Sonata in 2006 was, everyone was raving about it. All the
They
car
were gorgeous
magazines and
back then.
everybody. Yeah, it was like, okay, there's a lot of talk here, and I've never seen this before with a car, so I'll go look at it. I'll go check it out. But I'm still buying the Camry, right? I'll just say that I saw it, right? Well, once I got there and took it for a test drive, like the doors, again, it's that Hyundai steel. You close those doors, they close. You hear them close. It's not a little
They
tink.
got that good luxury thud to them.
They're solid, and I could get a car with way more features on it for less price. And again, there's my Scottish blood going, hello, why are you going to get a Camry? You can't do that. You got to get this. So we ended up buying that Sonata, the 2006, and that was sort of primarily a car that we were going to share, but my wife was going to drive it at least as much as I was, and so it was important for her to like it, and she loved it. So that was great. Now today, we fast forward almost 20 years, and I had the Santa Fe, which I just traded in for the Ioniq. My wife is still driving a Kia Optima that she purchased almost 10 years ago. My daughter is driving a Sonata, and my mother-in-law is driving an Elantra. We're a Hyundai family. Like it is what it is. And when it comes to the EV side of it, I see a lot of other EVs that come in on trade here at Winnipeg Hyundai. So everything from like Prius Prime to Tesla Model 3, from the I don't know, the Mustang Mach-E to the Tesla Y. There's Nissan Leaf, Chevy Bolt, Tesla X. Like we've had a lot of them come through here, right? I'm not going to get into the political side of it, but there are people that recently have been coming to us to trade in their car because they've actually had
Yep.
some road rage and stuff, and I don't think that's cool. But driving those different EVs, like in my humble opinion, the Ionics are the complete package. I like the other ones for various different reasons, but I just find that this kind of puts it all together in one package.
And that's yeah, and Hyundai's always kind of been like that though. It I remember when I worked there, we had one time we had an old actually pony come in,
Mm.
and we all put money down to see how long until we could blow up the engine.
Yeah,
And I think we eventually gave up after 2 hours with it, no oil and all that, because it's like it's just not going to go.
crazy.
And that's kind of how it's been. It's that reliability, the thud to the doors. It's they're great vehicles. There's a reason my first one was my first electric was a Kona.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What challenges or pleasant surprises have you encountered since going fully electric?
Well, I'll say that I love my Ioniq 5. It's fun to drive, and I think that's the number one thing I like about it. Um, I actually look forward to getting into the vehicle and driving. It's roomy. It's full of safety features that make driving relaxing. It's economical, great for the environment, quality, design, performance, affordability. We talked about all that stuff too. Um, the range anxiety kind of melted away from me in the first couple of weeks of ownership, because even at the coldest points in January, I had no issues traveling and charging, here in Winnipeg. Pleasant surprises. Oddly enough, it's probably like I caught myself the other day driving past a gas station and I was thinking to myself, oh, wow, gas is finally a few cents lower. And then I thought, all right, I don't care anymore. Cool.
That is my great amusement. For work I drive a gas truck.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing how much that thing costs to fill up and all that, it's very nice driving past these.
It is.
Um, how do you think the Canadian government incentives impacted the sales of the Ioniq 5,
Well,
especially now that they're even gone?
yeah, no question, had a big impact, and is having a big impact now since the feds paused the $5,000 rebate on the plug-ins and EVs. But I can say that Winnipeg Hyundai continues to lead on EV sales in Manitoba. We've offered our own incentives and combined them with Hyundai Canada promotions that have offset the federal rebate vacuum and actually made it even better than it was. That was on our 2024 models. We're down to, as I said, just one more left that's got those same incentives on it. We've got an Ioniq 6 that still has 2024 incentive pricing as well. But hopefully that pause will be lifted shortly after the April 28th election. I'm not predicting that it will, but clearly it'll depend on who takes control of the government reins and sets the budget. Sometime in May or June. Yeah.
And I guess have you seen even any changes with the Manitoba incentive when that came out? Just because I know these incentives have kind of also, I feel like now people are actually looking at EVs.
Yeah.
So did the Manitoba incentive allow you guys to bring in more EVs, or did much of that change after that?
Yeah, a couple of things happened there. So the first thing, without the Manitoba incentives, the first big boost for us was when the federal government expanded the EV rebate to include plug-in hybrids. So once that happened, we had a lot more sales of the Tucson plug-in hybrid because with the rebate, it was going for about the same price as a hybrid. So why not take advantage of even lower gas mileage and take advantage of those savings? So that was a boost to primarily the Tucson market, which was good. Provincially, when the $4,000 rebate came out, that allowed a lot of people to set up their homes properly with that level 2 charger. And I think if there was any resistance, that probably melted away by then. We we continue to have a lot of interest in both Ionics and Konas and the plug-in Tucsons. It's slowed a little bit in terms of the number of units that we're selling, but it hasn't changed the enthusiasm for it. It hasn't changed the need that people have to break free from, the gas world and embrace something that's new and fun to drive and better overall. So I think that incentives are good at pushing people over the finish line, but they're not the only reason why people are buying into the electrified vehicles today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. And I guess are with these incentives, are they more? Have they attracted people to actually even bother to come and take a look? It's kind of with Manitoba EV, it's the butt in the seats, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
and it's like any vehicle. Until you've actually had a chance to get in, sit in the driver's seat, inspect the control center or the console, see your infotainment screen, see your dashboard. It's the cockpit, right? So how do you feel sitting in that, and how does it make you feel? So those are all part of it, but um, the incentives might help to clinch the sale, but I don't think people are primarily an electric vehicle owner if they can get incentives, or they're not going to be an electric vehicle owner.
So they've almost come already making that decision type deal that
I
they're going to go electric type deal.
Yeah, I would say that there's three kinds of people that walk through the door here at Winnipeg Hyundai and say, "Hey, I'd like to take a look at one of your electric vehicles." The first group has done ridiculous amounts of research. They've narrowed everything down. They're more knowledgeable of those vehicles than most of the sales guys here in the dealership. They are enthusiastic about the concept of switching from whatever vehicle they're driving now to an Ioniq 5, an Ioniq 6, or even a Kona EV. So they're the most prepared. The second group of people that are coming in have made a conscious decision to switch from gas to some sort of electrified vehicle. That could be just a hybrid, it might be a plug-in, or like me, they may have decided, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to go all electric. As one of my customers said to me, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. And that's what she said to me. And I'm like, you know what, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, right? And then the third kind is like, I know in the back of my brain, I shouldn't contribute to, a carbon world that is making our lives worse. I know I need to do something about it. I'm curious about what an electric car does, but I don't know if I'm ready. And that's basically the three groups of people that come through our door.
I guess all of those are kind of interesting to see because you get very different dynamics, right? In a way.
You do. Yeah.
And I guess my I've done everything from telemarketing and whatnot, where it's like the ones that are just super excited to switch over or whatever, those aren't almost the fun ones. The ones that challenge you and maybe aren't 100% ready to switch over, but it's like, okay, now I've sat in it, I've driven it, I've talked to like yourself that actually owns one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, oh, actually, maybe I could, as the customer said, rip the bandage off
Yeah.
and just go fully electric now, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, of those three groups, I've had good success selling to each of them. So it doesn't mean that the one that might be the least enthusiastic is going to be the hardest to bring across the finish line. For some people, after they've taken it for a test drive, that's all they needed.
yeah.
Then they realize this is not that much different than driving a gas car. But look at all of the pluses, like the technology, the safety, the savings on gas. If you're spending, $3,000 a year on gas, and that's kind of an average, you're maybe going to spend $600 a year on electrical. Like, why are we even having this conversation? Like, it's that vastly
Oh, yeah.
different, right? That's something that, people maybe are not as aware of, and that becomes part of the conversation for sure. But even just the fact that this car is just a lot of fun to drive. I get I keep coming back to that because
The fun factor is high.
it is, and it gives you a burst of whatever whatever makes you feel high yourself, right? It just makes you, it gives you the thrill that you had when you first started driving all over again.
Where see, I look at vehicles like the Ioniq 5 as kind of the checking mom and dad's boxes, right? You definitely got the safety side. All the electric vehicles are one of the safest vehicles, and there's reasons for it. And that's kind of across the board. Electric vehicles are way safer than gas vehicles,
Yeah,
which already checks, mom's boxes. But um, the fun factor is going to check dad's boxes, right? And the savings check both the parents' boxes, right?
absolutely. Yeah. And surprisingly, there's a lot of young people who are either, a couple, they are maybe even single. I've had, retired doctors. I've had dentists who just like to have the latest, greatest, shiniest thing out there. I've had, young guys who, maybe they're doing computer programming. They're in their 20s and they're dating somebody, but they don't live together and they're looking at an electric vehicle. So it's really, there is no one demographic that these
Yeah.
cars are appealing to, which is different from all the other gas engine vehicles that I have sitting out on our lot.
And I guess, are you finding many people coming to EVs more for the sustainability efforts, or is it kind of more the savings?
If I had to say which group is more interested, it would be the ones saving. But I don't think that's the main motivator for people to look at electric vehicles. I think it's because, you know, what would be an equivalent? So there are people out there who just need a cell phone to make phone calls.
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? But it's true. There are people. There are
Yeah.
people there who are like, I just need a flip phone. That's all I
Yeah.
need, right? But then there are other people who want the latest, greatest innovation from Apple or Samsung, and to them, that's what a phone is. And those people, sometimes they're 17 and sometimes they're 72
Yep.
and everything in between. And that's the same kind of thing that we have with our EV clientele. Some of them are looking for cloth seats, no sunroof. I don't need all the gimmicks. I don't need the bells and the whistles.
Give me the
But I
bare
do,
minimum that
yeah.
works.
But I want an electric vehicle because I want that extra level of peace of mind. I don't need to worry about my engine light coming on because, something's wrong with my oil pressure or,
Yeah.
it's those things that are moving people away. And I think, honestly, a lot of people are getting fed up at having to pay somewhere between $1.16 and $1.54 a liter for gasoline, and it seems like on a whim the price is changing weekly.
Yep.
And in Manitoba, Hydro can't do that. If they want to have a change in the price, they've got to submit a case to the Public Utilities Board to make that happen, and that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, you at least have months of advance warning that prices are going to
Exactly.
go up. Yeah.
Exactly. And the Public Utilities Board sometimes says, nope, you can't have that increase.
Yeah.
So that is something that the gas industry, they wouldn't even know what that is, right? And that's what I think appeals to a lot of people too, is that I can actually budget my year for my fuel costs.
Yeah.
And that's a big one.
Just to be respectful of your time, I'm going to
Yep.
start wrapping up. What are your hopes for the future of Hyundai's electric vehicle lineup?
What are my hopes? In terms of,
Well, I guess like I know one of my hopes that I would love Hyundai to bring back is the Entourage in an EV form.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. We need more vans.
So I can't tell you how infrequently somebody comes in looking for a van now. Now, keep in mind, Hyundai doesn't make a van. Kia does.
Yeah.
But they're still making the Caravan, although it's now called a Pacifica, but
Same
it's
deal, different
the
pile.
same. Yeah, exactly. But we have trade-ins still of vans, and they'll sit on our lot for quite some time before they actually sell. And we're not just, waiting for people to come onto our lot. We're advertising them in Auto
Yeah.
Trader and various Car Guru and those sorts of social media type settings. They're just not selling the way they used to. But having said that, I think the 9 is going to change things. I think that the Ioniq 9 is going to fit the lifestyle of a lot of people who might have been a van person at one time or are a van person right now, but are kind of sick and tired of their 6-cylinder gas guzzling and want something that's just a little bit more overall, more, I guess, refined, less like a soccer mom car and more like uh,
An adult.
and then yeah, exactly. Okay, I didn't want to say that, but sure, you
Yeah.
went there. Yeah,
No.
yeah, no, that's good.
Well, and I
But
guess like
uh,
us, we
yeah,
we
go
got
ahead.
into our Model X because we wanted a van
Yeah,
type deal, right? And
yeah,
there is no van choices,
yeah,
right? Well, we got now the ID Buzz. That's 90 grand. So
yeah.
so it's like even with the Ioniq 9 coming in, that's a great replacement for a Model X. Great size. I looked at the Escalade a few weeks ago, and it's like if we're in that size,
Hmm.
that's amazing. You don't need a van at that point.
No, and that's I think the big differentiator. If you were buying a gas SUV that was that large, you'd be getting north of 90 pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a little bit less affordable. That's why Grand Caravan lasted so long, because you could buy those for between 20 and 30,000 pretty nicely equipped.
Yeah.
But they were still, when all the little features came away, it was still just a van. And either the seats hid in the floor or you had to lift them out and put them in the garage. So this is going to be a game changer. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the 9 sales. But I've had a ton of people say to me, as soon as that vehicle comes in, please give me a call, because we want to come down and see it, right? But in terms of your earlier question about sort of the future of electric vehicle lineups, um, here at Winnipeg Hyundai, I'm seeing customers with tons of questions about electrified vehicles, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, all electrics. For sure, it's captured the attention of probably almost half of everyone who walks through the door. Some kind of electrified vehicle has interested them. They want good range, they want affordability, they want the latest tech. Big, probably the biggest of the bunch is peace of mind. And the future, I think, looks more encouraging than probably it has in the last 50 years in the car industry. So you've got solid state batteries that promise to increase and even double current range. They'll also be lighter, less expensive, and it'll make EVs even more affordable for everyone. And for Hyundai at least, they're at the forefront, and they're rapidly advancing their tech and their innovation. So I just can't wait to see what's coming next.
And that's exactly it, right? It's they're kind of at the front of the pack with affordable vehicles even. Like
Yeah,
you kind of almost most other manufacturers you kind of choose between either being at the front or affordability,
right.
where they've managed to somehow do it both.
Yeah, it melded the two together for sure.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us about either Hyundai's electric vehicles or your personal experience with your Ioniq 5?
Well, I would say driving is believing. Forget
Yes.
about the higher ideals of the environment and sustainability. I mean, those are all nice, but those are the bonuses, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't driven an all electric car before, come in to Winnipeg Hyundai. Let me show you what sets them apart from every other vehicle that you've ever driven, and I think you'll come away as convinced as I am.
And I guess going to that, if somebody is interested and want to come check it out, how do they get in touch with you?
You can give us a call through our main switchboard line, which is 204-774-5373.
But I appreciate your time. It was so awesome chatting. I can't wait to see this Ioniq 9 when that comes out. I know it's going to be a few years, but before I pick one up, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the 9 coming out in the next couple of months might be enough to change your timeline a bit, but make the decision when the decision is right for your family, obviously. But I'd be more than happy to take you out for a test drive on the 9, and if we have some time left over, we could go out on the Ioniq 5N too. Just saying.
My wife is the smart financial person here.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough.
We're working on paying off the one vehicle before looking at another one.
Hey, James, a guy can dream. Come on.
Exactly. There's a reason I looked at the Escalade. They're
That's
gorgeous.
it. There you go.
And I can't wait to see what the Hyundai does with that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Again, thank you for your time, and
all right, thank you.
We'll definitely keep in touch.
Sounds good, James. Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great night.
You as well.
Bye for now.
And again, I want to thank Bob for his time. And if you want to reach out to me, you can check me out at True North EV on Facebook, or shoot me an email at truenorthevpodcast@gmail.com. And you guys have a great day.